Well, folks, we have a pretty good comparison today. 2018 BMW M2 LCI and the 2022 Toyota Supra Premium. So this costs about $5,000 more than this right now. This on the used market is between $45,000 and $55,000 depending on the condition of it. But I just want to do a little bit of a comparison today because they are, both have a lot of BMW guts in here based on the Z4 chassis, and I want to do a comparison for y'all. I just said, y'all, what the hell was that? So starting from the exterior, I gotta say the Supra is stunning looking. I mean, it is truly a beautiful car. Now, the M2 looks like a little bulldog, has a big wide hips in the back, front openings here. And now one advantage that the M2 has is there's no fake vents on this. You have, this goes to either a radiator or some type of oil cooling, and then you have these slits here, which are for brake cooling. Whereas on the Supra, you have this one here that's fake. Let's see, there's this one here that's just covered up. So it does have some fake vents, which is kind of disappointing. Not that big of a deal. And then also this slit right here is fake, and there, if you lift the hood up underneath, there's no ventilation there. Kind of disappointing there, whereas the M2, everything is functional. Now, one advantage that the M2 has over the Supra is it has 4 seats. So you can fit 4 people in this car, and you can fit 4 adults in this car as well. The back's tight, but not as bad as you would think. You also have a larger trunk, which we'll take a look at right now. So there's the trunk, and I'm actually selling my M2 right now. So I have these are the original chrome grills, the chrome side grills, the original spoiler, and then another cabin filter. I have this carbon fiber spoiler on here now, and performance carbon fiber spoiler. On the Supra, got a nice trunk, but it's just tough to get anything through this opening here. So the opening is just kind of the problem, whereas this has a much larger opening. Still not huge, but again, just more usable. I just think the look of the Supra is just so much more striking. It really turns a lot of heads from people that really aren't even into cars. Now, the M2 from the automotive community, the enthusiast community, when they see one of these, you break a neck. This will break the neck of your average pedestrian that can just appreciate a piece of artwork on 4 wheels. It's so sleek. The double bubble roof line. I love that these has his matte black mirrors. Gloss black here. I don't know why this is gloss black. I guess that kind of goes with the wheels. And the wheels are surprisingly good looking. Like, who would have thought to mix black and chrome and that would look good. I also like the detail of Toyota Supra being written on there, and you can see on the M2 it has these blue brake calipers, 4 pistons up front. These might be 6s, and I think these are 4s. This one has 4s up front as well and singles in the rear, and they're all painted red. But overall the car is just gorgeous looking. The other thing to mention is the manual transmission. So this is a manual transmission M2. It would be nice if we just had a DCT to do a more fair comparison, but they are building the Toyota Supra for 2023 in a manual, so you will be able to do that fair comparison. From the interior view here, the 2018 M2s don't seem that dated. A lot of this is all still relevant. iDrive 6.0 is excellent, and the seats are about just as equally sporty in the M2 and the Supra. This one does not have launch control, the Supra does, but the exhaust in this, in my opinion, sounds better overall. The Supra's exhaust, when you shift it on your own, has these farts. And that sounds incredible. The interesting thing is this one actually does that too, so they are very similar in the characteristics of the sound of the exhaust. This, just overall, when you're driving normally, the exhaust is very satisfying to hear, whereas that, you really have to rev it out to get the full sound. Alcantara along here, open pore, dry carbon fiber, more carbon along here, and then in the Supra, you'll notice that this is about the same in the Supra, and then some more over there. So the Supra has just more of the traditional gloss finish on the carbon fiber, and that looks so good. So it also has the Supra graphic there on the screen, which is really cool. In my M2, the graphic on the screen is just a base 2 series, so Again, little details like that Toyota has done a nice job of showing. You also notice, remember on my M2 I had all these numbers. It's more integrated right into the dash, which is really nice look. But other than that, it's very similar. It's the same. I think this is like iDrive 7.0 in here, and it looks really good. To bump it into manual mode, you just hit it to the side here, and then you have your paddle shifters, which are wheel mounted on here, so they kind of move with the wheel. And you have some gloss black, which is random throughout the car, and it has some flake to it. So that's interesting as well. JBL sound system, 2 subwoofers here behind you. The sound system's good. It's not like anything crazy. You also notice BMW does this. You put these speakers right above the driver and the passenger. So if you're talking on Bluetooth, it's clear from both sides of the car. But the infotainment system in here is great. Apple CarPlay is excellent. I actually don't have Apple CarPlay equipped on my M2. It's a $300 option. You can go to the dealership, or you can just go online and some guy will fill out a thumb drive for you and you'll have Apple CarPlay. Yeah, these cars are very similar. This one's a little bit more efficient, a little bit more comfortable, I felt, whereas the M2 has more usable storage and capacity in it. So there's little trade-offs between both of them. All right, so first let's go for a drive here in the Supra. The first thing you'll notice getting in these two cars back to back is the steering wheel in the Supra is a little thin. M Performance steering wheel that's in mine is perfect. It has the right amount of girth to it. Very hard to say that without saying any jokes, but sometimes you gotta, you can't just continue to say the same things. You have to move on. Right amount of girth to it, and it's also very plush. The leather is very nice, whereas the Toyota wheel basically feels like something that came out of a Camry. Now, you get over that. You'll very quickly get over that. Just an immediate difference you will notice. The seating position in this, you feel much lower than the M2. The M2 feels low if you don't sit in this first. When you get back in the M2, you feel like you're driving a bus. This ride's a little softer, and that's not a bad thing at all, just a difference between the two. Now, when you put it into sport mode, it changes the traction control, it changes the steering weight, it changes the dampening, it changes throttle response, it changes exhaust note. In my M2, it only changes throttle response and steering weight, and traction control a little bit, but it does not have an active suspension. So yes, would it be better to have a DCT M2 competition versus this? Yeah, that would be a little bit more comparable, but for the sake of what I have, and also for the sake of the cost, M2 competitions are like 60,000+. This starts at 50, so a used M2 N55, these are comparable in price. But yeah, the technology's about the same. The center console is nicer. Well, I wouldn't even say that it's nicer, actually. It's just different. This car, like the visibility in the M2 to me is a more usable car on a daily basis. Has a big trunk that you can put a bunch of stuff in, has 4 seats. The exhaust note is also better, which I'm sure we've seen in plenty of videos, but the exhaust note is just better in the M2. This isn't as loud as I thought it was going to be. A key that I found in driving the Supra to maximize the fun is shifting it yourself. A lot of times, the manufacturers do a good job when it's in sport mode to shift appropriately and get you within the right torque band. This car does not. There's too many gears. When you put it in sport mode, it should only have 6 gears, and that would make it a lot easier to choose. But right now, it has 8 gears, so when you're in the canyons, it's like constantly in 4th and 5th and 3rd, 4th, 5th. When I was shifting it on my own, oh my God, it makes all the world of difference. So pop the shifter over to the left, and it shows manual mode, and then you're able to downshift. And also get those fart sounds out of the back of the car, which sound incredible. You hear the turbo spool up. It really opens the car up and makes it a lot of fun to drive. So if you're test driving a Supra or something like that, this car is excellent when you put it in that mode. Now, nothing can replace having a manual transmission. For daily usability, this is better. Here's what I found. Manual transmission in the canyons is the most amount of fun and going to make you a better driver because you have to learn how to balance the car, keep it in the right gear, all those different things. This on a daily basis is better because if you get stuck in traffic or something like that, the car is a little bit more efficient. The car is relaxing to drive. It has adaptive cruise control, has a lot more technology. When you take this to the canyons, it's fun, manual mode, shifting on your own. It's engaging, just not quite as engaging or as fun as driving a manual transmission on some curvy roads. So you got to think about how you're using the car. Is this going to be a commuter car? Is this going to be a special car that you're taking into the canyons? Maybe wait for the 2023 Supra, which will come with a manual transmission. The tough part about that car is I think they're only making 500 of them. So it's going to be probably pretty hard to get at MSRP. Hopefully you have a good Toyota dealership near you that isn't going to be marking them up. That would be my recommendation. So one thing we haven't done yet is launch control. So we're going to do that now. What you have to do is put it in sport mode. You then have to hit the traction off button. So it'll say sport traction, and then we'll just put it into normal drive. Let the car do the shifting. And then you mash the brake, gas all the way down. It's engaged for 3 seconds, and then you take off. So let's give it a try. Oh my God. Jesus. It actually does like a bit of a burnout and then just takes off into oblivion. And it was smooth. It's not like a brutal hard launch. It's a nice smooth acceleration. BMW straight sixes are incredible. When you drive a BMW straight six, you quickly understand why people like BMWs. I loved the M2. I liked how it looked. I liked how it sounded. I liked that it came in a manual. What I didn't realize is how much I was going to like how the car revs incredibly, endlessly smoothly. So let's get out of this and let's take a ride in the M2. Let's see what we like better overall. The final startup of the M2. It was a nasty one. It was nasty. Well, this is the part of the video that sucks for me. This is my 2018 BMW M2, as a lot of you know. And today, this is like the final hour that I'm gonna have it. I've got a new car coming. So subscribe for that. Very excited for it. But it does suck because this is like one of the best drivers cars out there, and my spec and the condition of the car is better than 99% of them out there. So this compared to the Supra, it does have a manual transmission, so it's not totally fair, but the manual Supra is coming. So what car is going to be more fun to drive on a daily basis, and how does this compare to the Supra? Supra sits down a lot lower, much more cramped it feels like in the Supra compared to the M2. You have a bigger trunk, you have 4 seats, and you have room up here. You're also sitting up a little bit higher, so your visibility is better, and the visibility in the M2 is very good. In the Supra, it's not. It's very blind out of your peripherals. You really have to check the mirrors and look around you briefly just to make sure no one's in your blind spots, because it does happen often. The other thing is the engine and exhaust note. These are both enthusiast cars. So the people buying them are going to want to hear the exhaust constantly. They're going to want a visceral feeling. This is better at doing that. The exhaust sounds good all the way through. If you're going through a parking lot at 10 miles an hour and you're in Sport, Sport Plus, or if you're in traction mode, you're gonna have those little burbles and it echoes off the building and people look, and it sounds so good. The Supra does not have that from the factory. Now, I did a YouTube short, I'll have it linked down below, comparing the exhausts of both of these side by side. And I had this in Sport Plus and I had the Supra in Sport mode, so their most aggressive settings. And this just sounds better. There are clips of stock Supras where it burbles, and when you rev a Supra out all the way and you're in the manual shifting mode, the exhaust sound in between shifts is incredible. It has like that DSG fart, but this is just better through the rev range and the car is more usable. The Supra is a more striking car to see in person. The lines on it, it's lower. The average person will look at the Supra and go, whoa, this won't catch the average person's eye to see. Now, in enthusiast world, you're gonna see an M2 and you're gonna freak out. I do, I own one and I still freak out when I see them. Not freak out, but you know, strain my neck. I love them. So can you go wrong with either of these cars? No, you really can't. I mean, they're both excellent. The M2 is more usable. The Supra is more of a true third car. You can't really put much in it. It's probably fun on road trips. Just you and another person and you go somewhere. But even if you want to like go to the golf course with your Supra, you have to like take your 3-wood and drive her out and wedge your golf bag in there. It's very small and it's limited in what you can do. And for me, I would like to have cars that I can use and drive all the time, and this is a car you can do that with. You can comfortably have 2 people in here with all kinds of luggage when you fold the rear seats down. The shift feeling is excellent. The fit and finish is perfect. The fit and finish on both of the M2 and the GR Supra are perfect. They have similar iDrive systems. Theirs on iDrive 7.0, this is 6.0, but both of them are excellent. So you're not gonna go wrong in either way. You just really have to think about how you're using the car, because it's not like you're looking between a Mercedes E-Class and an Audi A6 or something like that, where it really doesn't matter. These cars, it does matter, because you want to be able to use them and drive them as much as possible if you're spending $50,000 or $60,000. Just think about how you intend on using it, and then let that be your decision maker, because both of them are great drivers' cars, have great fit and finish, great technology. The Supra is more efficient. If you really want to hone in on efficiency, this can do 27 miles per gallon highway. You can occasionally get better. This has 40% more downforce compared to the M240i, so that's why it's a little less efficient than that car. It has more power, but that's really has nothing to do with it. It's about the drag that's created on the car. I think just the front end alone is 40% more downforce than the M240i, so that's a part of it. But my goodness, it's been great owning this car. I'm sad to see it go, but I also have to, I post videos on this and no one really cares. A few people do, but it's not enough to even be sustainable. I put 15,000 miles on it. I got it with 9,300 miles. I put 15,000 miles on it, and I'm selling it for more than what I paid for. Kind of significantly more. I will have made a profit on owning this car and driving it for 3 years. So that's great. I hope this video helps you if you're looking at a Supra or an M2. I highly recommend, if you're looking at an M2, get a 2018. They sound the best, and it's the LCI model, so you have iDrive 6.0, you have the touchscreen, and various other things like the headlights, the partially digital dash, and the full LED tail lights are some adjustments they've made to the 2018 M2s. It also has the N55 motor, which sounds better than the S55 that they have in the M2 competitions. The comps are better if you're going to be taking it to track days. They have better cooling, more power, slightly better brakes. So if you're going to be tracking it a lot, go for a competition. If you're not going to be tracking it, get the 2018 M2. You can get the 16s or 17s if you don't care about the other stuff that they've updated, because they sound the same. It's the same motor. But that's my recommendation. Thank you guys for watching. I'd really appreciate a like on this video, the last M2 video on the channel. It sucks, but you've got to move forward, and I can't get attached to cars. I get attached, I'm an emotional being. So like the video. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more content.